He had 46 passing touchdowns last year. A lot of short touchdowns. McVay was trying to get him the MVP. Amazing stat, Dan. He had 8 1-yard touchdown passes. Like
different offense now.
They would not hand it off. They wanted to pad his stats. Here's the thing. He probably only has a year left. They drafted the young, his name escapes me, but probably the future quarterback. I think McVay is going to try and get him as many touchdown passes again. He's older, but Dan, he is durable. He's played 15, 16, and 17 games the last 3 years. They're just all in on the season. They traded for Myles Garrett. Rumblings of Aaron Donald might be coming back. Continuity, they're returning 10 starters on offense. And here's what puts this over the top for me. He had 9 games with 3 or more touchdown passes. 5 of those games were against his division. He tore up the 49ers, the Seahawks, and the Cardinals. So it just checks every box. If he gets hurt, then it's a loser. But if he plays even 15 games, I think he gets over this total. So that's my pick on this one. What say you?
Yeah, they get to face the Cardinals. They have a road game against the Raiders, obviously. The thing for me is he's not getting any younger, right? And the point that you make, though, is that this is a guy who last year had 1-yard passing touchdowns. And what does that mean? Something fundamentally changed because he went from 24 passing touchdowns to 20 passing touchdowns to then to 46. So this is something that has fundamentally changed with this offense. They are a pass first, second, and third option for this team. So the fact that you got him at 46 and he's had a 41 in his career, he's been around 30 several other times. He's had 2 41s in his career. So this is a guy who has the ability. The only thing that screws you here, Andy, is an injury. And I think he is a kind of guy who came into the season. Everyone was talking about his back injury, and that's why they're not bet on teams. And then what happened? He was one of the best players the entire season long. So the fact that it's sitting at 30 feels baity, but I wouldn't want to be sitting with any Stafford unders and then he comes out on a tear again. So I don't know if I'll join you with this one, Andy, but I understand the reasoning and I can't make a case on under 30.5 for a guy who's coming off 46 and for an offense that for all indications, they want to pass you out of the game. And they'll continue to do so whether they're playing from the front or playing from behind.
We're going to start with Baker Mayfield and his passing numbers over under 3,599.5. So where do we land on this one? Well, let's talk a little bit about Baker. Last year, he played 17 games. He was not 100% healthy. We'll just say that. But he's a gamer, and he played all 17 games, 63.2% completion. He did get over this total last year, 3,693 yards. You look at the breakdown of who caught those passes. Ibuka, 938 yards. Cade Otton, second on the team with 572. Sterling Shepard, 371. Mike Evans only played 8 games. He had 368. Chris Godwin, 9 games at 360. And the running backs had around 810. So we look at the depth chart of who he's throwing to this year. It's Godwin, Ibuka, Jalen McMillan, Cade Otton, Bucky Irving, and Kenneth Gainwell. Looked up the offensive line rankings, and they have one of the better offensive lines when healthy, and they return 5 starters. Baker Mayfield's in his early 30s, and he's wanting a contract extension, and the Bucs appear to not be giving it to him before the season starts. So he is going to be motivated to put on a show to try and get that contract extension. It's a 4th straight year with a new offensive coordinator. They just keep going through offensive coordinators. This year it's Zach Robinson. He came from Atlanta. Just pull some stats from there. Penix and Cousins combined for 3,700 passing. Bijan rushed for 1,478. Bucs have a pretty good schedule. Only one outdoor game with potentially bad weather in December. That's a game at Baltimore. They got home games. They got indoor games. Baker's playing for a new contract extension. We've got continuity on the offensive line. Godwin hopefully stays healthy. Ibuka in his 2nd year. I don't like normally taking overs, especially when a guy's starting to get a little aged and has had some injuries, but he played through them last year. I'm going to lean to the over on Baker Mayfield, 3,599.5 passing. Not strong enough to be a client play, but that is how I would lean. So last year he had 4,564, 2024, 4,629, 2023, 4,575. Year before that, 4,438. So he's been obliterating this total, but he's played in all 17 games in all 4 of those years. Great durability, but that's a pretty incredible streak to not miss any games. So the Lions offense is truly incredible. It has been since Goff got there. 6 yards per play last year. That was 3rd in the league. 28.3 points per game. That was 4th in the league. 7.4 yards per pass attempt. That was 4th in the league. 103.6 passer rating. That was 3rd in the league. You get the point. This offense is dynamic. They added depth to their offensive line in free agency and the draft. Their offensive line was not that great last year. It ranked a little bit below average. If you watched Lions games, there were certain games where they struggled mightily. So that has to be the spot that they have to improve on. They have brand new offensive coordinator, Drew Petzing. I've found some comments from players from the Lions. They love him. All the meetings and get-togethers have been really productive and really good. So it sounds like there's good optimism. The backfield did get a bit weaker in the rushing area. No David Montgomery. So David Montgomery's moving on. He was a perfect fit for that team. So it's going to be all Jahmyr Gibbs mixed in with a couple of other guys. I absolutely love their receivers and their pass catchers. Amon-Ra St. Brown. I draft Amon-Ra St. Brown every year in fantasy football. He falls to the end of the first round, at the beginning of the second round, and I don't get it. But Amon-Ra St. Brown is truly elite. They've got Jamison Williams, who took a step forward last year. They got Isaac Tesla, second year. He had some really good moments last year. Sam Laporta is coming back, and you got Jahmyr Gibbs coming out of the backfield. This is one of the stronger pass-catching core in the league. One of the best schedules in the league as well. I believe one website has them ranked as the second easiest based on the season win totals. So they're getting a really, really good schedule. Jared Goff plays all the games, and he's gone over 4 years in a row. The only way you can take an under is if you're just predicting an injury, which is really tough to do. But if this guy plays all 17 games, he's going to go over. My lean is going to be to the over. But as a bettor, I do not play overs on massive numbers like this. One small injury where he misses a few games and this goes under. If you told me he was playing 17 games, I would take the over. But I just don't play massive numbers on quarterbacks and running backs and wide receivers. So the lean is to the over. This will not be a client play. So let me know if you guys like it. Let's see. We got unders. We got unders. So we got a couple people going under. Jordan Love, over under 24.5 passing touchdowns. Here's my breakdown. He had 23 last year, 25 in 2024, 32 2023. He played 15 games last year, but I thought clearly was not healthy. There was a lot of limping around. Let's see, played 5 games, 2024, 17 in 2023. So he doesn't miss a ton of time, but he does get nicked up a little bit. He only threw 6 interceptions last year. That was a really big improvement for them. He got a lot more accurate with the ball, not as many turnovers. Their wide receiving core is Christian Watson, Jayden Reed, Matthew Golden. They hope to get a real step up from him in year 2. Tucker Kraft is coming back. What's he going to be like? He was absolutely phenomenal for that team last year. So if you're a Packers fan, you're really hoping Kraft is back to his playing ways. This Josh Jacobs thing. Josh Jacobs is in legal trouble. And is he going to play a lot? Is he going to be suspended? It's not a light little thing that he's been accused of here. And this is a big deal because he's rushed for 13 and 15 touchdowns the last 2 years for the Packers. If he doesn't play or does miss time, you got to lean towards the over here. The offensive line could be a problem. They let some guys go. They're going to be relying on young guys to step up. There's just not a lot of experience or chemistry. Could it get better as the season goes on? Yeah, sure. But I'm a little nervous here. I lean towards the under in this one, but that Josh Jacobs situation is looming over this team. And if he misses any time, I think Jordan Love goes over this one. I will lean to the over, but I got to wait until I see the news from Josh Jacobs. And if the line moves, then we stay away. But for now, I'm in a holding pattern until we get Josh Jacobs. But I will say this, the NFL, not exactly quick to suspend guys. They want their guys out on the field. So that's where I landed on this one. It's a slight lean to the over, but I got to wait for Jacobs news. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm right there kind of with you. Now, whenever I'm looking for overs with a lot of these quarterbacks, I want them to have at least a stud wide receiver, like one guy that needs to get fed or else he's going to be bitching and, complaining, like an A.J. Brown type player.
I would say, any type of player that you could think of?
Yeah, anything come to mind? I want a quarterback who has a mouth to feed as the mouth to feed, as opposed to the sum of its parts, which is this Packers team. They don't really have, as you said, you hope you get a step up out of Golden. Do you? These are a lot of guys who, other than Watson, a guy who takes the top off the defense a little bit, but he's not getting any younger. Each year he kind of seems like he has injury woes and he loses his step. So for me, it was 32 touchdowns when Jordan Love, kind of burst onto the scene, his breakout year, and then it was 25. And then it was 23. And I know that injuries were a part of it, but injuries a part of who Jordan Love is. 15 games, as Andy said, in the last 2 years, both of them. Slight lean to the under, but this is a perfect number. It's going to be right around this number. I don't see him going back to 32 touchdowns, if that's what you're wondering. I think you're right in this ballpark. So it's a pass for me, lean towards the under. I think the Packers, again, should be a team who's competing as one of the better teams in the NFC. But as far as Jordan Love needing to get 25 touchdowns or more passing for them to do so, I don't think they really need to.
Okay. Yep. I agree with you. Perfect number. No notes on where the number should be at. But let's talk Jayden Daniels here. Third year for Jayden. He was injury plagued last year, and it is cliche to just be Robert Griffin all over again, but God, the similarities are just like, oh man, we should have kept Steve on here for this one to get his thoughts. But it's 3,249 passing. So in 2024, he went over this one, 3,568. But then last year, 1,262. His wide receivers are Terry McLaurin. They just get Stephon Diggs. Antonio Williams is drafted. They signed Chika Kongwo, who's a sneaky, decent tight end. You got Krosky Merritt as a starting running back. Rachaad White, that's a good receiving running back coming out of the backfield. Looking at the ratings for the offensive line, they're middle of the road. They're not great. They're not terrible. They're just, kind of meh. The defense was terrible last year. They're probably not going to be that good again this year. Could be in some shootouts. They do have the 8th hardest schedule. I can only go under on this one with the terrifying injury factor with this guy. He just doesn't seem to know it. This is like the Jackson Dart thing. Just like get down, run out of bounds, throw it away. When he's healthy, yeah, he's going to fly over this number if he plays every game. But I will not be playing an over on this one. What do you think?
Well, and this is, I hate to sound like a broken record a lot of times when we do these season totals, but the thing you always have to remember when you're trying to cap these is this factors in he stays healthy. Yeah. And if he stays healthy, you're going to flirt with this number. But even that season where he burst on, Andy, 3,500 yards isn't like he soared over this total. You know what I mean? And that was when he was, offensive rookie of the year caliber. He was, talk of, this guy could be an MVP level player. And then, it didn't end up playing that self out because they ran into my Philadelphia Eagles, who were just a juggernaut that year. But for me, I'm with you, man. It walks like a duck, talks like a duck. Sometimes you got to say, hey, this thing is a duck. And the thing is with Jayden Daniels is, until he shows me I'm not going to put myself in harm's way, you have to say this might be just what kind of player that he is. And even if he doesn't put himself in harm's way, Andy, it's not like he's been packing on the muscle mass, adding a bunch of weight. You look at him and he's still, like a stick. So even you mentioned, is this RG3 all over again? RG3, I think, was just really unlucky. Jayden Daniels is just the size as far as muscle mass, being able to absorb hits. and his play style, it just doesn't factor in. Now, if you're talking all-purpose yards, okay, let's factor in his rushing yards as well, because he will take off and scamper, but only 7 games played last year. This number just seems like it's trying to bait you into, oh, he's going to be healthy and he's going to go over it. I lean under, but with guys that have major injury concern, I don't want to bet any season-long stuff. So I'm with you. I lean towards the under. I think we've talked a lot of other things that went towards client plays. This doesn't even scratch the surface of like a pizza money play for me. I lean under. I would rather find different ways to either bet on or against the Commanders as opposed to going with the season-long Jayden Daniels prop.
Yeah, live chat seems to agree with us. So I hope he can stay healthy, because he's an exciting player. We need quarterbacks, and when he's healthy and accurate, that can be a fun offense. So hope he stays healthy, but I'm not willing to risk my money on it. So. All right, let's do our fantasy. I had my fantasy football draft, and we had a hilarious moment. So last night, it's a Sunday night, not going on. We go to this exact same place. We sit at the exact same table every single year. It's my old college buddies, and like around the 7 o'clock mark, it was pretty clear the manager went home for the night and the kitchen crew took over the music, because let's break down our first NFL future of the week. It's Quarterback Monday. We're going to go with Drake Maye over under 3,799.5 yards passing. Dan, I'll go first here. 2024, he played in 13 games, had 2,276. Last year, he played all 17 games. 4,394. Flew over this total. He ended up with 527 attempts, 350 completions. Leading the league in completion percentage and yards per attempt is just really, really impressive. That was a real feather in his cap last year. The Patriots passed for 4,459 yards. They rushed for 2,191 last year. They add A.J. Brown. They have Romeo Doubs. Demario Douglas, if that matters, Hunter Henry. They did draft some O-linemen. The offensive line has got to be the biggest concern on that team, along with the tough schedule. I actually think the tough schedule may help this prop. I think they're going to be in more passing situations in the second half this year than they were last year. I guess Vrabel's we're just going to forget about everything, and there's going to be no punishment. I got to tell you, Dan, I love this over. I love Drake Maye in fantasy football. I like this over. I think he has another really, really good year, and he does a pretty good job of not taking big hits. He did it the first part, but I think he learned his lesson a little bit later. So I like his over. I think he was hurt in the playoffs, but I think regular season bodes well. What do you think?
Yeah, I think, definitely fair. I think, you see what he did last year, the eye-popping numbers that he was able to put up. It's funny because, you mentioned, hey, I actually think a tougher schedule will allow him to be in closer games where he's passing. A lot of the Drake Maye success last year, Andy, came in blowouts where it was stat padding. So I know that people are going to hate me saying that, but it's just the absolute truth. They beat up on really bad teams last year, and credit to them. You can only play who's in front of you, and they decimated that competition. But doesn't this make you scratch your head a little bit, Andy? Is a guy who had 4,400 yards last year now gets A.J. Brown. Oh, my God, it's the signing of the year. A.J. Brown is here. We have a number 1 wide receiver, and this is 700 yards lower than what he was able to amass last year. Or, if you're doing the math, it's obviously less than that. But when I'm just rounding these off, 3,700. So you're looking at 3,799 for him. It's not something that I want to bet under on, Andy, because I do believe that Drake Maye is a good player. I don't think, the whole Drake the schedule May thing is true, but I will say the majority of those stats did come when they were just able to just beat down on really bad defenses. Now, they get to play the Jets 2 times this year. They still have, it'll be a tougher schedule. It's not, oh my God, they're not going to find any wins on the schedule. I'm not crazy bullish on their team as a whole moving forward. I think regression will come for them, but Drake Maye is a good player. I'm just being the devil's advocate point to thinking this is an absolute slam dunk over. I'm with you, Andy. I don't want to bet an under on this one, but I'm not as This wouldn't be one if you were putting in as a client play, Andy, that I would be betting with my own money. Let's just say that. Over makes sense. He's a good player, but folks, let's not get carried away with. And I think the number is also telling you something, Andy. If it is, why isn't this just 4,000? You know what I mean? So
fair.
Slight lean to the under, but you made a strong case for the over, Andy. But a pass for me.
And that hurts. That hurts me to take an over on a Patriot.
Oh, I know.
That's a tough beat for your boy. So tomorrow we'll go over Mike Evans. We'll talk Kenneth Walker. We'll talk the New York Jets. Give us some suggestions for Friday. It can be a player prop future. It could be a team total. Whatever you guys want. Just leave it in the comment section. So.